Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Announcements are being made right now. This is the table of day number 16, and the announcement is there's only 3 days left in the Zurubang World League. It is as it is, only 3 more days, and each team has played against each team in the Zurubang League. This is far better than make it a 2-round season. It takes far too much time, it's far too long, and like this the points are close enough to make it still very interesting. And yeah, although I was thinking of that some teams should have the chance to have a comeback. For example, I would have hoped that Mexico might be lucky in some other games and duels and maybe come back. It doesn't look like in the end. So 3 more days and the Zurubang World League is over. Now, having that out of the way, let's take a look at the table and at the teams and how they have been scored. We're talking about statistics, the possible constellations, and what else will await you. For example, we start with the table like this. Place number 16 is the last place. All the teams below, that'll be France, Vietnam, Canada, and Mexico at the moment, will be out in the next season, which will be next year latest, I guess. Let's see, maybe I will decide to have it earlier. That would mean 4 new teams would have to show up, and all the cards from those teams will be mixed up completely new. So 4 very new teams will have 4 very new team members like this. After the season, each team will have to exchange 1 single card anyway from their team, so these will be mixed new. Then we have our Champions League. All the teams starting from place number 8 onwards, that'll be those Italy, Spain, United States of America out of a sudden there, Egypt, South Korea, Thailand, Australia, and Indonesia will play for the Champions League. 2 groups of 4, and the 2 teams who are the best in their group will advance to the KO stage, so the half-finals, semi-finals. There will be a 3rd place, and of course the final for playing for silver and for gold. Now, although this is very important and probably the king's discipline of who will win the complete Zurubang World League, whoever is on the first position in the Zurubang World League at the end of the season is the champion. Easy said. And at the moment, Indonesia and Australia have 22 points. So yeah, Thailand, South Korea, Egypt, a lot of different teams still have chances, starting from Brazil even. And let's take a look at the games. So Mexico has a score of minus 100. 190 points scored, but 290 points caught. It's almost, yeah, so very soon. I mean, it's unavoidable. Probably it's going to be 300. 5 points, only 1 little victory against Canada it was. And 3 draws, that is. So, very unfortunate, but Mexico is already out. Even if they would score 6 points in the very last round, it won't reach the 12-point threshold. So Mexico is the very first team to not be in the next season. And it looks very dark and difficult for Canada as well. They need at least 2 victories and have to hope that the other teams might lose. Otherwise, Canada is out too. So absolutely tough, but also terrible score. Only 2 victories is just not enough. They were also very unlucky. And one of the most surprising candidates of all is Vietnam with 10 points. So they are fighting for their life. And look at their score. It's pretty good, actually, minus 20 still. That they are down there, it's really crazy. Also France. France, strong team in my opinion. 12 points, just like Japan. India, England, and Germany, very surprisingly, with 14 points. So congrats for that, Germany. You're almost over the hill. But until place number 13, I think it is getting difficult. Like these are the teams, well, of course without Mexico, but yeah, these are the teams who still are fighting to survive in this first league and not go into the second league where they will be out of the game. Then let's take a look at Russia, who is 7 victories, 7 losses and 2 draws, 16 points, has a chance still to reach the important 8th place where Italy is at the moment. If they're on the 8th place, then they are accomplishing the Champions League. But they are like the absolute middle, like really in the midfield. So they've managed to do that pretty well. Turkey and Argentina, they still have good chances. It's only 2 points apart, so one slip of the big ones here, and they are in the game again. So, well, look at this very similar score here: 241. 239, the same as United States of America. Surprisingly, with the 20 points up here, they have won a lot of games recently. Italy and Spain, the 2 only European teams which have a chance to advance into the Champions League at least. I mean, they even have a chance, theoretically. And this is where, yeah, it starts at this, even with Brazil, I guess. But that's very, very difficult. But here it starts to be still very interesting to play for winning the championship. I mean, if either of those teams gets 3 wins in a row, they have 25 points, and that could be enough if the score is also pretty good. And they have a kind of okay score, yeah. And United States. I mean, that would be the biggest surprise of all. They were down here at times, down on place number 14, 15. We take a look at this a bit more thoroughly in a moment. But that would be absolutely crazy. They won 9 games, 2 draws and 5 losses. And then we have Egypt, South Korea and Thailand, and those 2 teams were on the first place for a long time. They were sharing it kind of. First Thailand, then they fell apart. Then South Korea for a long time undefeatable. And now they are on place number 3 and 4. And also Egypt never on place number 1 so far, but still such a good team and 21 points. So that is a super hard fight up here. And Australia and Indonesia. Yeah, Australia was on the first place for a long time in the very beginning. And then they had a couple of losses to compensate. And Indonesia is on the first place the very first time now. So 3 Asian teams. And a kind of Asian is Oceania with Australia. Then we have the only African team so far up. That's super cool. The US team is up there. Mexico didn't make it like this. And a couple of European teams like Spain, Italy, Germany, England, France. They are all, well, in the midfield or even on the bottom of the table. Let us take a look at the teams in general, because it's a lot to look at. This is the rest program. United States of America will be Mexico. Mexico against India and Egypt against Mexico. Okay. I mean, it's over anyway, so this looks good for the United States to get even more points, 22 points. Let's take a look at Canada. Canada's rest program. India, okay, that might be manageable. That is difficult. Egypt and, oh, Vietnam. My God, it's going to be such a clutch final. Oh boy, those 2 teams are playing against each other in the last round. How does it look like for Vietnam? Against Brazil, very tough. Turkey, also pretty tough. Yeah, and then that duel. So, Vietnam, hard end program for Canada and Vietnam, both not in a good position. France against Spain, Japan and Indonesia. Oh boy, also France has a very tough program ahead. How does it look like for Japan against England? Top form. Yeah, France, very nice, exactly. Actually, this is also a very important duel. And United States of America. So wow, United States has a good program, good rest program. India is in a better position. They have managed with their last victory. It was so important. What was it? Yeah, it was against Turkey and against Brazil. Those two victories, the two last victories, that made a catapult out of the danger zone. Now against Canada, Mexico, and Spain. I mean, yeah, Spain is tough, but Mexico and Canada, that is coming in very, very handy for India. They can manage to get, at least 2 to 4 more points. And England, they managed, they did it. They came out of this terrible swamp of all those losses. Okay, here's the win against Vietnam, but loss, and then Thailand. Thailand changed everything. Number 1 against number 19, and they won this duel. And out of a sudden, boom, boom, a draw, boom, and boom. No loss anymore after Thailand. Fantastic. Great moral, well done. Germany, yeah, very, I'm happy, of course, I'm a German, so I'm happy that they managed to get loads of draws. Look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 draws. But they are very, very hard to beat in the end. Russia, South Korea, Argentina. I might say this could be a lot of losses for Germany, so they have to be a bit careful. Just imagine those teams win, these teams win, and then out of a sudden, after just one game, Germany falls down to number 16 again, or even worse. And they have a tough program ahead. Okay. So Russia, probably the only team where I don't know if they are if they're able to go to the Champions League, or if they're able to still go to the relegation. If they lose all their games against Germany, Thailand, and Brazil, and those teams win all their games, but it's highly unlikely. I think Russia can just be happy and concentrate to try to get into the Champions League by winning 3 in a row. Turkey, Argentina, that's another case. Egypt against Turkey, Vietnam, and Australia. My gosh. Okay, Vietnam, that is possible, but Egypt and Australia, 2 teams in the absolute top of the table. I believe Turkey will probably be in this midfield and stay there. How about Argentina? Yeah, what happened there, by the way? Argentina wins, a couple of draws, wins, and then Spain, and then everything fell apart. Okay, there was a draw against Australia, very strong, but Japan lost, Russia lost, Indonesia lost. They were up there on the 2nd place, but they can still do it. They can still manage to go into the Champions League. And South Korea, Italy, Germany, it's tough. South Korea, Italy is tough. Brazil, yeah, and they have done some good work too. But then also a couple of losses. India, United States. Oh, it was a back and forth, but England also, Italy. Yeah, so the last 6 games were not very good. Vietnam, Australia, Russia. So a bit lower table, up table, and in the middle of the table. I would say at least 3 to 4 points for Brazil, so they can manage to get 22 points, and yeah. And Italy was all up there too at one point, or at least in the top of the table. Then the loss against Spain, that was very painful. Also a draw against Canada, probably not the best. And Mexico, my gosh. Look at that. They were drawing against Canada and Mexico. Oh boy. Indonesia, tough. Argentina, super tough. And England. Italy has a very, very hard program. England, just because England is in top form. They are very hard to beat. And Spain, that Spain lost against, I think Spain has a tough time against Asian teams. Here they won against Japan. But Thailand won against them. South Korea draw. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. England, yeah. So France, United States, India. That's actually pretty good. That is one of the better programs for Spain. So they can get like 4 to 5 points maybe. 24, that would be pretty good. They couldn't make a surprise happen. And United States. Now let's take a look what happened there. Okay, so United States lost heavily against Vietnam, against Egypt too. brutal losses. Win against Australia, surprising. Then this brutal loss again against Russia. Win against South Korea, draw against Germany, win against Thailand, win against Brazil, win against Turkey, and against Canada. So out of nowhere, they equalized their score, but it's still very bad because they received so many goals, as you can say. But their rest program, Mexico, Spain, Japan, poof. I mean, the United States is also in for at least 4 to 5 points, 25 points. Could be the championship, who knows? And Egypt is like, look at those tight results everywhere. Here's the score, but only when they won against the United States. 20, but no 20. You can see no 20 here. Super strong defense. Super hard to beat them. But some teams still manage to do so. For example, Brazil, very close. Australia, very important victory for Australia. And then Argentina was high victory, actually one of the highest losses, kind of. So Turkey, Canada, Mexico. Blah! Egypt! Egypt is one of the top candidates to actually win this. I can see 6 points, that's 27 points. They're so hard to beat. I cannot see that Canada or Mexico can beat Egypt. Was it Canada, Mexico? My gosh. Egypt. If I would have money, I would set my money on Egypt just because that's a good program to fulfill. Let's see. South Korea, yeah, they were on the number 1 position. Then, out of a sudden, losses against Russia and Australia. And all those wins. Okay, United States also managed to win against them, but yeah, unbeaten for a long time. Argentina, Germany, and Thailand. What a final! Beautiful. South Korea, Thailand in the last match. Wow. That's beautiful. 1 draw from Thailand. 1 draw from England. And then 1 draw from Spain. England was the last team with only 1 draw. And then out of nowhere, Australia came back. Probably the best team in the last. So United States won against the top team again. Like, United States won against so many top teams. Then win against India, Egypt, Vietnam, a draw against Argentina, Russia win, South Korea win, and a German draw. Yeah, that was unnecessary. If they would have won against Germany, they would be on the top of the table now. Thailand, yeah. Brazil and Turkey, tough program. Tough for Australia. And then the team, is it actually? Yes, it is, by far. Super good score by Indonesia. And I don't even know, they just did it. They just went up there silently. I don't even know. They didn't have many losses here. South Korea was 1. Turkey, And that was that. Oh, 14-16, the loss against Japan. Oh, super close results in the last 4 games. Even against Mexico. Oh yeah, I remember that one. So we have Italy, England, and France. That is funny. 3 European teams. And only 1 of them is in the top part of the table. So Indonesia also has a very good rest program. Now let's take a look at some standings. Yes, I think that's it. So yeah, these are the overall scores with everything, but the charts, that's the fun part. Yeah, of course, Mexico is leading here with 12 losses. Vietnam 10 losses, just like Canada. Oh yeah, however did that happen? And here we have 10 victories by Australia, Indonesia, and Thailand. An overall score here, not that interesting. Home games, yeah, it's pretty interesting that South Korea, Thailand, and Turkey won 6 games at home. But away teams are a bit stronger. Look at this, Indonesia 7 points away. And Spain 7 points, the best away teams. Mexico lost 8, of course, yeah. Scores, Mexico 290 against, but here we have Thailand. Still top scorer of the league. Position changes. That is the second nicest statistic we have here. Let's start with Argentina. Yeah, Argentina, they started up there. Place number 2. Then a couple of losses. And then they came back on track again. Here. And then they fell down again. And now place number 10. And Australia was on the first position for a longer time. At least 4 games. Then they fell into the midfield, and I thought like that's it with Australia, but then they came back. And Brazil was also up there, second place for 1 point. Yeah, and Canada we have to search for the down part of the table. There they are on place number 19 since a long time now. Their best position was in the very beginning, but that wasn't enough. Ah, God, doggies, cats, what else, guys? Anyway, Egypt. Yeah, Egypt, look at this. The worst position that Egypt ever had was the 7th. What a strong team. Brutal. And England, the magical uprise of England, they were on the last position even before Mexico and Canada. And then they crawled out and are almost safe. I'm saying almost. In France, terrible. The 9th position after 2 games or 3, and that's it. Germany, yeah, been down there, but came up. Best position was number 10 in the midfield. India was a bit also in the 9th position at one point, but then I was worried. Very worried. Then they came to the 17th, so in the relegation. But now they're on 15. Still not over. And Indonesia. The silence of Indonesia out of nowhere. Never on the first position. And then 3 games before it all ends on place number 1. And that is also interesting with Italy. Number 1 for 4 games. Then they fell a little bit down, but their worst position is also 9, where they just were. So they didn't have, maybe not enough condition for the last games. Yeah, and Japan also up there, actually, position number 7, and then whoop, 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 oh, number 16. Barely, yeah, and Mexico. It's a pity. They even managed to get to place number 18 at one point, but that was the maximum. Mexico is out. And Russia is probably over the hill. Wow, they've been on position number 17 for such a long time. I didn't even notice that. They were in the relegation. So actually they were a bit... they had a bit of a harder time. So they managed very well, actually. I called them the elevator team. I had in mind that they won a lot of games. And then South Korea. 17th position. And midfield, yeah. And then out of a sudden, they were up there and never wanted to go down again. Until the last couple of games. A couple of teams left. Spain was always in, yeah, bit further down, but always in the secure midfield, and then slowly but surely making their way up. And Thailand was on the first position for a long time. I think South Korea was there for 1 day longer. Very interesting. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, as I said. So the record number 1 at the moment, South Korea, and then Thailand, but still all up there. Turkey, well, always kind of in the midfield, but in the very beginning they were higher. Good positions up there. And United States, what? That's the biggest elevator. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Victory, loss, and they even managed to fall down on. Yeah, they were in position 17 in the very beginning. That might not count, but they were on place number 14, and it wasn't long ago, just like 4 or 5 days or so. 7 days actually. Or no, that's like 1 day. No, 4 or 5 days is correct. And then win. And Vietnam, they were up there in the very beginning only. And on place number 11 in the mid of the table, but then pop. Team form, my favorite, and yours it will be too. We take a look at all the played games and the form of the game. So yeah, that's Mexico. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Only 16? Okay, never mind. I'll show 16 then. Or let's make it 10. How about that? No, let's make it 16. Oh, of course 16. I'm so stupid. They only played 16. What do I expect? So Mexico lost against Vietnam, Australia, Russia, and South Korea. Then the draw, the two weakest teams kind of with power 29, 15 points. Loss. And the final, the only win against Canada. And then the 24 to 6 to 24 against Japan. That was the crown of the highest score. Nobody could score higher than this team, I think. And then a draw against Italy and a draw against France. So that is actually quite impressive. Canada, yeah, that was even worse than Mexico. They couldn't even get a draw. And it started like promising against Australia and Russia. It was just very close, but then bop. A draw against Turkey, Argentina, and then 2 wins in a row. And I thought like now Canada. They are up, but then they lost against Indonesia. A draw against Italy and against England. Sorry. And Vietnam, yeah, won against Mexico. Okay, that explains it. Why Vietnam was on the top table at one point in the very beginning. But Spain, Japan, Indonesia, a draw against Italy, England, France, a win, and the United States, yeah, that is like a big surprise. India loss, Egypt loss, Argentina loss, Australia, and finally against Russia. And a draw against Germany, so that's gonna be tough. France won against England, and all those losses against Egypt. Wow, 23 to 7 against Australia. Sometimes it just requires the right team. And the victory against Canada, that was important, very important to stay a bit more up there for them. And then Japan was so good in the very beginning. India, Egypt, okay, Vietnam. Lost against Australia, but close. And then a win against Russia. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 losses in a row. Also Canada. And then what a fight upwards out of that. That gave them a lot of energy. The high score against Mexico. Spain lost, but then Argentina win and the Indonesia win. Unbelievable, those 2 victories here. And the loss against Italy. And then India. The Japan draw, the loss against Indonesia, and the draw against Italy. 2 wins, England and against France, but then 3 losses in a row. A win against Vietnam. 3 losses in a row again, then the draw, the big loss against Thailand, and then those super important victories, my gosh, against Brazil and against Turkey. So important those 2 points, 4 points. And then England, look at England, that is one of the craziest, second craziest. What happened? 5 losses, 1 victory against Vietnam, more losses, and it was basically over. Australia 22, Russia, South Korea, Germany even, But then Thailand, Brazil, win against Turkey, the draw against Canada, okay, but that didn't confuse them. Staying strong against Mexico and Spain and made it kind of, I really doubt they have a chance to relegate. Congrats, England! The German team, who did they win against? Canada, Japan, Italy, England. Yeah, that was the short row against the European teams where they could win against the European teams. But then France came and said no. And now, in the last 5 games, 4 draws, 1 loss against Egypt. But 4 draws. So Germany turns out a team which is not super easy to beat either. Easier to beat was Russia. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. But also Russia won more games against Canada, Mexico. Oh, so close, both games. So their wins. Oh, okay, here 21. That's a 20 score. Their wins weren't that high. Very low actually in most cases. But yeah, Russia did it. Turkey. Yeah, Turkey just stable, just like not too much to say about this. 3 draws in a row, that's funny though. Turkey against Brazil, Argentina, both South American teams, and against Canada. And then they thought like, okay, it's time to win again. And why not against Mexico? Then we have Argentina, win, loss, win, loss, win. Now that's what I call an elevator in the end, actually. Just like Turkey, as I just realized. And the first draw. And then out of a sudden, win, win, win. Egypt, Mexico and Vietnam. Okay, if you want to call it like that, easier teams, except Egypt, of course. Spain lost, draw against Australia, and then it fell apart. Argentina still fighting for the Champions League though. Win-win loss. A draw against Turkey, win-win loss. Yeah, so here it turns around. More wins definitely than losses already. While Germany has it the opposite way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So here it changes a bit. That's the teams with more wins. And Brazil, yeah, I don't know. No consistency. Some wins, some... Yeah, more losses than wins here. Tougher time here. Also tougher opponents, but India maybe not. And the win against Egypt, yeah. Italy starting so good. First place in the table. High victories, 2010, 19-11. The draw against India and the loss against Egypt then. But they kept strong. Against Australia, kicked Australia from place number 1, I remember that, Russia. And then... But only 4 losses, actually a little amount in the end. Also very, very tough to beat. There's actually... Yeah, 4 losses is... that's the max. That there's no team which has less losses, so Italy hard to beat. Spain has 6 losses, but they have a lot of wins too, so it's either win or loss. Only this 1 draw against South Korea. And then win, loss, win, loss. And then the magical transformation of America. Loss, win, win, loss, win, loss, loss, win, loss, win. And look at the scores. Okay, here it's close, but 19, 19, 23, 22, 21, 21 again. If they are losing hell a lot. My gosh. And then they thought like, I don't want to lose anymore. 20-10 against Thailand. 22-8 against Turkey and 20-10 against Canada. So United States in the form of their lives at the moment. Egypt. Yeah. So tough, also so hard to beat. Only loss against Argentina. Australia, France, and Brazil. Interesting. And the 2 draws against Russia and South Korea. And then South Korea, starting with a loss in the season against Brazil, winning, drawing, unbeatable here. And then the loss against the United States. Win, draw, win, and then 2 losses again. Terrible, just the same destiny which Thailand had. The perfect, unbeatable run almost. 22, 19, 22, 20. Oh. And you can argue, okay, these weren't the top teams. Spain is a stronger team, maybe. Argentina too. So Indonesia, Italy, England. And then France, 24-6 also, the top score. 20-10 loss against the United States. Crazy! And then Australia, 4 wins in a row, best team, clearly. Then 2 losses in a row. 1 win and another 2 losses. Breaks their neck. Always one of those surprising streak ends with the United States of America. It's always part of it. But then, unbeaten in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. And the number 1, Indonesia, lost against Egypt massively. Turkey, South Korea, and Japan, very surprisingly. So that was unnecessary, and they would have had even more points like that. Now let's take a look at the last 6 games. Yeah, and the United States is leading the table. And England and Australia, 3 countries which are very good in English language. Then Indonesia, Spain, Thailand in the midfield kind of. Italy, Turkey, South Korea, the top team. And Argentina down there with Vietnam and of course Mexico. That was it, guys. So I am looking so forward for the rest program. And thank you very much once again for joining, looking at the stats with me together. I doubt it's that interesting as the games itself, but it's nice to take a look at all the different stats and how the teams were evolving. At least for me, it's one of my favorite things to do. Yeah, we see each other at day number 17. Bye bye.